Welcome back, friends. Today, we're diving into a story that begins with an ordinary night out, a rare moment of calm for a couple navigating the beautiful chaos of life with three young children. But what starts as a quiet dinner quickly takes an unexpected turn, unraveling emotions, assumptions, and realizations that will leave you reflecting on relationships, resilience, and the quiet courage it takes to be a parent. Stay with me. You won't want to miss how this unforgettable evening unfolds. It was just a month after they had their third child. Jackie and her husband finally went out for dinner the first time in months. Jackie expected a quiet night with all the noise at home. She wanted to go out for some peace and quiet, but it all turned out to be the total opposite. Somewhere between leaving her seat and going to the bathroom, she notices the waitress leave her husband a note on their table. That was just the start of what was going to be an unforgettable night out. She could feel the blood rising to her head. She just wanted to leave, but she couldn't. So the unthinkable happened next. Instead of making a scene, Jackie Johnson Smith took deep breath and calmed down jumps since after 2 minutes. She decided she had to do something. She wanted to see the note the waitress left her husband. He couldn't look straight into her eyes, and she felt that he knew the waitress. Why would he keep that a secret from her? Friend, who was she and what was the note about? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe. Subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. As a U.S. Army soldier veteran, Jackie had been good at confrontations. She's trained herself to be in control of any situation after a dedicated service in the Army. She decided it was time she spent her full time being a mother to raise her children. Her husband had been there while she was still in the Army. Now that she's home, he spends more time with him and friends. She knew for a long time that her husband was a handsome man. This night only proved that she was correct. Jackie knew that whatever happened that night would change everything for their family. She'd been working 24/7, making meals, washing clothes, changing diapers. This night meant that she had a chance to unwind and take a break from everything. When she finally put makeup on and a nice dress, the kids weren't at their best behavior, but at least they weren't as fussy as they were at home. But she finally got her husband to see her in a different light tonight. She had on a simple dress and lipstick. It was important to her that people see her as the woman he fell in love with that night, but it appears that he wasn't interested to see this get. Instead, what he saw on that note took him by surprise. His wife's reaction confused him. Jackie should not have been married for 10 years. They were high school sweethearts and were each other's first. It was a fairy tale wedding, and they have dreamed about having a big family ever since they can remember. Now they're at their third child, and they never thought something would break their happy marriage apart. To see to their friends and family, they were the ideal couple, always finishing each other's sentences and always watching each other's backs. It seemed like they have always been meant for each other. However, what happened moments after proved their relationship wasn't exactly perfect. As soon as Jackie gave birth to their third child, she vowed to stay at home with the kids until they're all in school. She never went back to work and loved her new life at home. Tom had always loved Jackie despite her situation at home. He tried hard to help out and make things less stressful. Jackie's husband was good look and charming. He always knew that other women found him attractive, but he always made sure to not make Jackie jealous. Women hardly made the first move when he's around Jackie, and this could just be the first time that someone does. He knew his wife never liked it when women stared, but he never seemed to make a big deal out of it. The weeks leading to this night had been different. She noticed some changes with her husband. He was always coming home early from work now, but somehow preoccupied with his phone. And when she started snooping on a new app that her friend had introduced to her, she noticed that her own husband hadn't unfollowed her on Instagram, presumably, to hide some shady activity. Jackie also noticed that they haven't talked with each other lately either. Was he being distant? She no longer felt like the young, smart, attractive woman she once was. Was this affecting their relationship? Jackie often felt uncertain and insecure about their marriage recently. She always pushed these thoughts to the side, but this dinner at the pizza shop only heightened her insecurity. It was all because of what happened next. With 3 kids, Jackie gets so worked up that at times she never noticed how frustrated and irritable she became. Jackie knew that motherhood wasn't going to be a walk in the park. Despite all that she had been through, nothing could have prepared her for what happened that night at the pizza shop from Dion, Iowa that evening. The waitress did quite a bold move. How could she write a note for Jackie's husband and leave it on the table? To Jackie's surprise, she caught her husband just in time as he was reading it. She demanded an explanation, but didn't expect to see that message on the note. If Jackie and Tom finally had a chance to get out of the house, the kids were given a treat for being extra nice that evening. Who does she think she is? Jackie leaves their table for a second, and as she was making a move on her husband, this woman had the nerve to do this. Despite being the father of 3 kids, her husband was still good looking and would still make women turn to glance whenever he was around. They ordered fizza, among other things, at a quiet evening, and just as she was coming from the bathroom, she saw that brief moment where her husband was reading a note slipped under the glass of water. It was the check from the waitress. She probably snuck it there while Jackie was away, along with what she never expected she would receive. Jackie immediately noticed the piece of paper when she got back from the bathroom. It's her husband just put it down after he read it. Jackie picked it up and couldn't believe what she was reading. She never thought how the words on that tiny note had so much power. She felt her face turning hot, and tears started welling up in her eyes. Their waitress, had been watching them from afar. The baby had just cried, and that table seemed to have drawn a spotlight onto them. It was odd that people kept looking at Jackie's direction when everything turned quiet in that restaurant. They probably thought the baby choked or something. There's no reason why she should be publicly shamed. What Jackie did in that restaurant is something that any mother would do with that situation. It only mattered that she kept her baby calm and okay, so she finally understood why people kept staring at her. They probably haven't seen a woman feed her baby in public. It's been her choice to give her baby only her milk, as it's the healthiest food he can have at that age. But still, the next slide proved otherwise. They could have gotten a sitter for that night, but Tom and Jackie decided to take their entire family out and instead for a bite to eat. She already felt eyes staring at her as she exposed her breast to him. Is now the moment her screaming baby fed the cry stopped. She knew there was no turning back now. She had to nurse him until he was done. Would they stop her while this was happening in their corner? The waitress was looking at her and her husband differently. There was something about the couple that the waitress had to say. She wanted to tell them the truth about that night. She had to wait for the perfect time. It was the most unexpected feeling, but she decided to wait at her weight until Jackie disappeared into the bathroom to write something to her husband. When Jackie rose up towards the bathroom, she finally found her chance. She brought back the family's check with a note in it and gave her husband a look she would never forget. What was on the next slide? If only she was there the moment the waitress handed that note, she would have done something. Jackie took her seat and thought about how she could get back at Tom for the humiliation. She had to calm down. She wanted to find out what he was reading. As she read silently, tears streamed from her eyes. She was smiling as she looked at him. She held his hand and pressed it against hers. She never thought that she would be happy when she found out what was on that note. She decided that there was no point of getting mad. Instead, she said this, her best smiled. Jackie felt embarrassed. She had thought Tom was on the brink of considering seeing other women. She took his hand and kissed him and mouthed, "I'm sorry and thank you." She looked for the waitress, who was standing behind the counter, and gave her the biggest smile while mouthing the words, "Thank you." Her kids were tired, and so they weren't as fussy as they were at Homex. They were full of pies. She felt the day was going to end bad, but then the waitress saved the day. The note said that the waitress paid for their other pizza and complimented Jackie's braver for breastfeeding in public. You would think that all employees are after tips and rewards. This time it wasn't the case. If the tables have turned as their waitress rewarded them with a compliment and a free pizza, and she was so amazed by Jackie's bravery that she felt them tipping her wasn't fair. She should return them a compliment on behalf of all mothers and women who were struggling to conform with society's prying eyes. Jackie wasn't the first person to ever breastfeed in public. There have been others, but society has judged women who've breastfed their babies in public that they had to hide an item of clothing over their baby while doing so. Is AO that of the time, Dell thinking about it the other way around? It's totally uncomfortable for anyone to be eating under a blanket. A child would feel the same way. It's finally time for people to refrain from these stares and appreciate this sight, as this is the most natural thing a mother could ever perform to her child. People tend to judge mothers who breastfeed in public. They feel it makes them uncomfortable. She's been perceived as a shameless woman just because she put out her breast for her baby to suck. There are actually more shameful things a woman could do in public, but this didn't have to be one of them. As they packed up their stuff to head out, Jackie never felt more in love with her husband. He never said a word while their little one was having a fit. He just sat there and minded their 2 other kids. Mai finally understood that this was the best he could do, supporting her while she was doing her thing. She could see how he really loved her. A nun night turned out to be what she had always wanted. It was a chance for their family to spend time outside the house with Jackie, finally accepting her flaws and insecurities. The night ended peacefully with Jackie and Tom's kids tucked in their beds. It's been a long time since they had the chance to go out. They never expected a night out could bring out so many realizations for them. The kind gesture by the waitress might be small, but it was enough to ensure Jackie that she was the woman she had always wanted to be, and that she doesn't need to mind other people's opinions. What matters is how her husband looks at her, because to him, she will always be his W. No matter what struggles they go through, they still have each other to